bonus episode of I Believe in Horror. I am your host, Bo Bartholomew, and with me is my co-host, Jasper.
Welcome! Today we are going to be reading your stories of horror, fear, and ghostly encounters. Along with that, we get to hear a horrifying story written by Bo.
I will read off my thriller, and right when you think you know where it's going, we'll read one of your stories.
We split up your stories so that Bo will be hearing my set for the first time, and I will be hearing his set for the first time.
You'll get to hear our real-time reactions and what we think of these stories.
All right. Well, to start off on a lighter note, let's start this episode off on a life update.
Well, let's see. I'll have you go first.
That's a bad idea.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. Something rotten. That's life.
We're full-fledged into performances. Oh gosh, no. Rehearsals for something rotten, and it's going really well, I would say. I'm super excited to see the show come to life. And other than that,
we have an episode coming up in a while that I've been really excited for, and I contacted a person who I think is really cool to see if we could snag them as a guest, and we got a response, but I'm gonna hold off on who that guest is and what the episode topic is until like the Saturday before.
Well, I'm excited to see how that goes, and then other than that, life's just busy with theater, and that's it. I don't have time for anything else, at least in my life.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways, as always for this episode, listener discretion is advised, and let's get started with Bo's story.
Melody had reserved this secluded mansion for the next week. It sat in the dead center of the dark forest that most people wouldn't even try to enter. The mansion was marketed as the most haunted Airbnb in the entire state, having been owned by the big boss of the nearby logging company. Melody drove up to the large steel gate that flanked the cover photos on the reservation site. Standing by the pillar, holding up the ornamental sign with the insignia of the logging company name was the owner. He explained that he would be at his cabin at the edge of the woods. He too had been scared away from the mansion as so many of the previous renters had been. "I won't even go past this gate," he said as he unlocked the chain holding it closed. Melody drove into the gate, watching the man close it behind her, locking her in until the checkout time on Friday, October 13th. The forest continued. Melody drove past rows of trees, which seemed to either reach out to her or push her far away. As she drove, she passed the cemetery on the property. It was noted to be one of the more paranormally active areas on the property. Now, Melody did not believe in ghosts. She believed that everything has an explanation closer to Earth. She looked out the side windows for a moment before looking towards the road ahead. The Gothic mansion finally came into view. It was tall and covered in wood paneling. There were windows evenly spaced in a straight grid. One arched window was topping the front facade of the mansion. It looked as if every light was on in the mansion and every lacy curtain drawn shut. Melody looked at the beautiful flower gardens, somehow unkept. Looking back at the mansion, Melody slammed on the brakes. Did someone just walk past the arch window?
Cute. I like it. And you wrote it yourself, so that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much to say because not much has happened in the story. She's driven up to this mansion, but
and
I'm excited to see that.
it's I will maybe include a photo of what this mansion looks like in my head, because photos do exist of what this should look like.
Yeah. I'm glad you're the one editing, not me.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, hear your first story.
I have one of my stories from my favorite book. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. My first story is The Big Toe. A boy was digging at the edge of the garden when he saw a big toe. He tried to pick it up, but it was stuck to something. So he gave it a good hard jerk, and it came off in his hand. Then he heard something groan and scamper away. The boy took the toe into the kitchen and showed it to his mother. "It looks nice and plump," she said. "I'll put it in the soup and we'll have it for supper." That night, his father carved the toe into 3 pieces, and they each had a piece. Then they did the dishes, and when it got dark, they went to bed. The boy fell asleep almost at once, but in the middle of the night, a sound awakened him. It was something calling out in the street. It was a voice, and it was calling to him. "Where's my toe?" it groaned. When the boy heard that, he got very scared, but he thought, "It doesn't know where I am and will never find me." Then he heard the voice once more, only now it was closer. "Where's my toe?" it groaned. The boy pulled the blankets over his head and closed his eyes. "I'll go to sleep," he thought. "When I wake up, it will be gone." But soon he heard the back door open, and again he heard the voice, "Where is my toe?" Then the boy heard footsteps move through the kitchen into the dining room, into the living room, and into the front hall. Then slowly they climbed the stairs. Closer and closer they came. Soon they were in the upstairs hall. Now they were outside his door. "Where's my toe?" His door opened. Shaking with fear, he listened as the footsteps slowly moved through the dark toward his bed. Then they stopped. "Where is my toe?" the voice groaned.
"You've got it."
So I do like that story, and I decided to go in and edit our Halloween scary movie binge watching to add Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
It's such a good movie.
I know.
Oh,
I love it. We're gonna watch it. It has the big toe in it, and we need to watch it.
It's so good. I love it because it was like very simple, and as like a 7-year-old, I was able to watch it because it wasn't like Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But also, like, it's a simple story, but it's also
It is. I remember in elementary school reading it in the library and would, like, act it out and then pause for a long time and then do the jump scare at the end. And everybody else would get scared, and I wouldn't, so I'd laugh at them. So,
okay.
All right. Now it's time for your story.
I'm going to pull this one out of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark Part 3. And this one's real short because I have a big long story that I wrote on my own. The Red Spot. While Ruth slept, a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for several minutes on her left cheek, then went on its way. "What is that red spot on my cheek?" she asked her mother the next morning. "It looks like a spider bite," her mother said. "It will go away, just don't scratch it." Soon the small red spot grew into a small red boil. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It's getting bigger. It's sore." "That sometimes happens," her mother said. "It's coming to a head." In a few days, the boil was even larger. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It hurts and it's ugly." "We'll have the doctor look at it," her mother said. "Maybe it's infected." But the doctor could not see Ruth until the next day. That night, Ruth took a hot bath, and as she soaked herself, the boil burst. Out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs their mother had laid in her cheek.
Ooh, I love that story.
I love how, like, simple it is, and yet it has a real fear that a lot of people have.
Oh, I'm terrified of spiders. It's one of my, like, favorite stories that's in these books, because it's also in the movie as well. Terrified. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I remember, like, listening to that story at Halloween time in my elementary school. My librarian would always pull these out, and, like, her playing that story, I didn't sleep that night because I was like, a spider's gonna crawl across my face and I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Well, actually, before we continue on to my story, let's actually tell them we're dressed up because we thought it would be cool. What are you?
I'm a clown. And what are you?
I am a butler from the Haunted Mansion. I have my own little badge and my dark green tuxedo and purple vest. And you can see everything better in person, but it's really cool.
We're also recording on a school laptop, so that's why it's not like...
It's crappy quality.
It's okay.
And this is going to be the first video episode that we'll have on Spotify.
This will.
So.
And tragically, I think there will be more to come, so... Well, I am interested to see where Melody's story is going.
It started to rain as Melody looked at the window. There wasn't supposed to be any other guests here. A crow screamed its somber song as Melody grabbed her suitcase and ran into the mansion. The foyer was beautiful. A tall, vaulted ceiling that reached up to the second-story balcony sat above a beautiful chandelier. The stained glass above the door painted lovely colors on the grand staircase. A small table in the center of the room had a flower arrangement made of artificial flowers covered in dust. A stack of brochures sat neatly on the table. Melody grabbed one and flipped it open to find a map. Each room on the map had a number which matched an explanation on different pages about who originally lived in that room, who died in that room, and the paranormal activity of that room. When Melody looked at the numbers, she noticed that one had a star. The key said that this was the only room that she could stay in to not disturb the history of the house. She walked her suitcase to the room on the second floor, passing other rooms along the way. Her room was at the end of the hallway. The window overlooked the side of the house, and in the distance Melody could see the cemetery. The four-poster bed sat against the wall, and a large chest at the footboard. Across from the bed was a decorative armoire. Melody sat on the bed and looked at the nightstand. There was an old rotary phone, a beautiful stained glass lamp, and in the drawer was a large Bible. Melody decided to get a feel for the house and turn off the lights before sleeping. She walked the hallways using the map to find all of the light switches. Each light was turned off as Melody passed more rooms, each with its own history. On the third floor at the end of the hallway was the arched window. Melody checked each room for the person who walked in front of the window. When she had checked each room, Melody decided that she had just been seeing things. Melody returned to her room to find the armoire wide open. That was weird. She could have sworn she closed it. Melody closed the doors to the armoire, noticing the lovely dresses inside. Then, after changing into pajamas, then checking and plugging in her phone, Melody fell asleep, unaware of the horrors she was about to experience.
Oh, I liked it. I'm excited about the story because he, like I said, wrote this. And
I wrote it so that it would, right when something should be happening, we pause and anyways.
And we move on. Yeah. Now I'm excited because Bo gets to share a story.
From a book, because I'm not as original to write 4 different scary stories. Now, this one is from Scary Stories to Tell in the Bark. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Not just Scary Stories, that's the first book I read. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark 2, called More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I love these books.
Okay, this one's called The Wreck, on page 4 if you're following along. Fred and Janine went to the same high school, but they met for the first time at the Christmas dance. Fred had come by himself, and so had Janine. Soon, Fred decided that Janine was one of the nicest girls he had ever met. They danced together most of the evening. At 11 o'clock, Janine said, "I have to leave now. Can you give me a ride?" "Sure," he said. "I've got to go home, too." "I accidentally drove my car into a tree on my way over here," Janine said. "I guess I wasn't paying attention." Fred drove her to the head of Brady Road. It was in a neighborhood that he didn't know very well. "Why don't you drop me off here?" Janine said. "The road up ahead is in really bad condition. I can walk from here." Fred stopped the car and held out some tinsel. "Have some," he said. "I've got it at the dance." "Thank you," she said. "I'll put it in my hair," and she did. "Would you like to go out sometime to a movie or something?" Fred asked. "That would be fun," Janine said. After Fred drove off, he realized that he did not know Janine's last name or her telephone number. "I'll go back," he thought. "The road can't be that bad." He drove slowly down Brady Road through a thick woods, but there wasn't a sign of Janine. As he came around a curve, he saw the wreckage of a car ahead. It had crashed into a tree and had caught fire. Smoke was still rising from it. As Fred made his way to the car, he could see someone trapped inside, crushed against the steering column. It was Janine. In her hair was the Christmas tinsel he had given her.
I forgot the ending to that story.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good story because I love like suspense horror over like slasher horror, and I love that story. It's so good.
Yeah,
I love Halloween. I love spooky things.
I really like that one because she said that she crashed her car before going there, and then if she's like dead, like she would have been a ghost the entire time. But then how the crap did she get the tinsel in her hair in her car? But anyways, we don't know, and that's just the fun of the story.
Yeah. Now I get to share another story from a book. And my next one is from the same book. Which, I love these books.
I love them too.
This one is a very dark story, so viewer discretion is advised.
Extra advised.
Okay.
Double.
Now for the story of the little black dog. Billy Mansfield said that a little black dog followed him wherever he went. But he was the only one who saw it. So, people thought he was kind of crazy. To drive the dog away, Billy was always hollering at it, throwing rocks at it, but the dog always came back. The first time Billy saw the dog was the day he fought Silas Burton. Billy was just a young man then, but the Burtons and Billy's family had been feuding for years. When Billy saw Silas running towards him, he went for his gun and Burton went for his. But Billy fired first. He hit Burton in the back, knocking him from his horse. Burton's horse ran off and his gun fell where he couldn't reach it. He lay there on the ground, pleading with Billy not to kill him. But Billy killed him anyways. Burton's little black dog was with him when he was shot. The dog kept licking Burton's face and barking and snarling at Billy. In his anger, Billy kicked the dog too. There wasn't much law enforcement in those days, so Billy wasn't arrested. But all that night he heard the Burton's dog outside his cabin, scratching on his door and barking to be let in. I'm imagining this, Billy said to himself. I shot that dog. It's dead. But the next morning, Billy saw the dog. It was waiting for him outside. From then on, there was not a day when he didn't see it. And there wasn't a night when he didn't hear it scratching on his door, barking to be let in. From then on, Billy was always finding the black dog hairs on the sofa, on the floor, in his bed, and even in his food. And the house and the yard stank of dog. That's what Billy said. Whenever somebody told him there wasn't any dog, he'd say, maybe you don't see it, but I do, and I'm not any crazier than you are. Things went on like that for many years. Then one morning in the middle of the winter, the neighbors didn't see any smoke coming out of Billy's chimney. When they went over to check, Billy wasn't there. A day or so later, they found his body lying in the snow in a field back of his cabin. Billy had plenty of enemies, and at first it seemed like somebody might have killed him, but there wasn't a mark on his body. And there weren't any footprints out there except for Billy's. The doctor said Billy probably died of old age, but there was something odd about his death. When the neighbors found Billy, there were black dog hairs on his clothes. There were even a few on his face. It smelled like a dog had been out there, yet no one had seen a dog anywhere.
I like that story.
I like that
It's
story.
like, it's creepy, but it's also like scary, but it's also like sad. It's got all the things. It's got all the feelings.
I know, the first time I read it and I heard, like, I shot the dog, I cried. It's like, what do you mean you shot the dog?
The dog's a ghost dog now.
That was so sad.
Oh.
But yeah,
Okay.
I think it's time to get back into your long story.
A loud tapping noise woke Melody from her sleep. She checked her phone to find that it was the bright time of 3:16 a.m. After unplugging her phone, she turned on her flashlight and opened the door. The tapping noise was getting further away. Melody could see a ghostly light at the end of the hallway, coming from the foyer. She walked down the hallway, the tapping noise still going down the hallway, towards the light. It reached the stairs, and Melody could have sworn the noise moved down the stairs. The chandelier was on, glowing its mysterious shade of yellow, with flickering electric candles. Melody turned off her phone's flashlight. Then Melody heard a loud crash come from the third floor. The tapping noise stopped at the bottom of the stairs before starting again and moving quickly up the stairs and down the hallway towards the stairs to the third floor. A scream came from the third floor as the chandelier shut off, plunging Melody into complete darkness. She turned the flashlight on her phone back on before running to her room. Behind her, the sound of heavy footsteps followed. Melody jumped the rest of the way to her room and slammed the door, locking it before cowering in the corner of the room. She was surrounded by noises from around the house, creaking floorboards, screams, and haunting laughter. The door handle rattled as if someone was trying to get inside. Then, just as suddenly as it began, all of the noises stopped. Melody flicked on the light in her room. The doors to the armoire were wide open. Some of the dresses were strewn about the room. After putting the dresses back and closing the doors, Melody sat on the bed and looked out the window. The cemetery was covered in a layer of fog. It rippled like a vast ocean with no end. A large statue of an angel was in the center, facing the mansion. While Melody looked out, the dark figure of a man appeared and walked out from behind the statue and then disappeared behind an obelisk nearby. Melody blinked rapidly, attempting to bring reason to what she had just seen, heard, and experienced. The sun could be seen peeking out from a nearby mountain. Melody checked her phone. It was somehow 7 o'clock. It's a harsh one, that one is. But don't worry, the rest of it kind of goes fast.
He needs a therapist.
I
need to hear the rest of this story. This is like...
Well, then we gotta get choppy with the rest of the stories.
I know. I'm just excited because this is a really good one. But you have another short story for us to hear.
I do indeed, and this is my last short story.
It's not gonna be mine.
So, my final short scary story is from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the first book. And this one is titled The Hook.
I love this story.
I know, I love this one too. Donald and Sarah went to the movies. Then they went for a ride in Donald's car. They parked up on a hill at the edge of town. From there, they could see the lights up and down the valley. Donald turned on the radio and found some music, but an announcer broke in with a news bulletin. A murderer had escaped from the state prison. He was armed with a knife and was headed south on foot. His left hand was missing. In its place, he wore a hook. Let's roll up the windows and lock the doors, said Sarah. That's a good idea, said Donald. That prison isn't too far away, said Sarah. Maybe we should go home. But it's only 10 o'clock, said Donald. I don't care what time it is, she said. I want to go home. Look, Sarah, said Donald. He's not going to climb all the way up here. Why would he do that? Even if he did, all the doors are locked. How could he get in? Donald, he could take that hook and break through a window and open a door, she said. I'm scared. I want to go home. Donald was annoyed. Girls always are afraid of something, he said. As he started the car, Sarah thought she heard someone or something scratching at her door. Did you hear that? She asked as they roared away. It sounded like somebody was trying to get in. Oh, sure, said Donald. Soon they got to her house. Would you like to come in and have some hot cocoa? She asked. No, he said. I've got to go home. He went around to the other side of the car to let her out. Hanging on the door handle was a hook.
Yeah.
I like how short that one is.
That was a really good one.
It's short and scary.
It's also it's a reason I hate men, because men, it's not scary. No, that's a really good story. I love that story.
I do.
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's time for my story.
It is.
Mine's in this book.
I think. I don't know.
Well, the bookmark I put in here is gone.
There's a bookmark in here. This is your... Oh, you have 2 more bookmarks in here.
Peek. I'm going to have my final story. You're going to cut that part out.
You have 2 more stories.
My final story from a book.
Mm.
High beams. The girl driving the old blue sedan was a senior at the high school. She lived on a farm about 8 miles away and used the car to drive back and forth. She had driven into town that night to see a basketball game. Now she was on her way home. As she pulled away from the school, she noticed a red pickup truck following her out of the parking lot. A few minutes later, the truck was still behind her. I guess we're going the same direction, she thought. She began to watch the truck in her mirror. When she changed her speed, the driver of the truck changed his speed. When she passed a car, so did he. Then he turned on his high beams, flooding her car with light. He left them on for almost a minute. He probably wants to pass me, she thought. But she was becoming uneasy. Usually she drove home over a back road. Not too many people went this way, but when she turned onto that road, so did the truck. I've got to get away from him, she thought, and she began to drive faster. Then he turned his high beams on again. After a minute, he turned them off. Then he turned them on again and off again. She drove even faster, but the truck driver stayed right behind her. Then he turned his high beams on again once more. Her car was ablaze with light. What is he doing, she wondered. What does he want? Then he turned them off again, but a minute later he had them on again, and he left them on. At last she pulled into her driveway, and the truck pulled in right behind her. She jumped from her car and ran to her house. Call the police! She screamed at her father. Out in the driveway, she could see the driver of the truck. He had a gun in his hand. When the police arrived, they started to arrest him, but he pointed to the girl's car. You don't want me, he said. You want him. Crouched behind the driver's seat, there was a man with a knife. As the driver of the truck explained it, the man slipped into the girl's car just before she left school. He saw it happen, but there was no way he could stop it. He thought about getting the police, but he was afraid to leave her, so he followed her car. Each time the man in the back seat reached up to overpower her. The driver of the truck turned on his high beams. Then the man dropped down, afraid that someone might see him.
That one actually goes into real people's fears category.
I love that story. So many renditions of that story have been done, in the show called Scream Queens. They recreated it. And it's such an interesting story. Because it's the fear of somebody's following me, and then later realizing, uh-oh, there was somebody in my car. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to dive right back into Melody's story. Melody walked the halls of the mansion, peeking into every room and behind every drape. The halls were laid out exactly as they seemed they should be. Just as the website said, every door in the house was unlocked. As Melanie walked down her hallway, she noticed a tripwire. She must have stepped on it and triggered something. Melody walked into the kitchen and tried to open what looked like a pantry. I guess the listing lied. Melody scoffed to herself. She pulled out her phone and opened the website again. All doors in the home should be unlocked. If any are locked, please report them to the owner and use the lockpicking set to unlock the door. Lockpicking set? Melody walked into the main foyer and found the set sitting on a side table. The instructions for how to use the set were folded in the top of the box. Melody sat and began to unlock the door. She looked around, and as she moved the metal pieces around in the lock, a phone started to ring in the foyer. Then, when Melody looked back, a light started to flicker. Melody ignored it and decided she had to get the door open before investigating the light in the ringing phone. The door swung inwards, just as she had expected. The walls were lined with shelves for food. A string hung down from the ceiling. She pulled it, and the light above her head flickered to life. Below her feet, a pit ominously sat, wide open. Stupid. What? Who said that?
You're the white girl who would get killed in a Halloween movie.
Me?
Yeah.
Or she?
You.
Oh.
Because she was like, oh, I'm not going to go investigate the ringing phone and the flickering light in a house that I don't know. Mm-hmm. In a house that the owner wouldn't even go through the gate when he let me in. She's smart. You're gonna die. Peak.
Okay,
but I think
it's time for another short story.
Another short story. Now you're only gonna be hearing from me.
For short stories.
For short stories. My next scary story is going to be The Dream, from the third Scary Story, Still in the Dark. Lucy Morgan was an artist. She had spent a week painting a small country town and decided that the next day she would move on. She would go to a village called Kingston. But that night, Lucy Morgan had a strange dream. She dreamed that she was waking up in a dark, carved staircase and entered a bedroom. It was an ordinary room except for two things. The carpet was made up of large squares that looked like trapdoors, and each of the windows was fastened shut with big nails that stuck up out of the wood. In her dream, Lucy Morgan went to sleep in that bedroom. During the night, a woman with a pale face and black eyes and long hair came into the room. She leaned over the bed and whispered, "This is an evil place. Flee while you can." When the woman touched her arm to hurry her along, Lucy Morgan awakened from her dream with a shriek. She lay awake the rest of the night trembling. In the morning, she told her landlady that she had decided not to go to Kingston after all. "I can't tell you why," she said, "but I just can't bring myself to go there." "Then why don't you go to Dorset?" the landlady said. "It's a pretty town, and it isn't too far." So Lucy Morgan went to Dorset. Someone told her that she could find a room in a house at the top of a hill. It was a pleasant-looking house, and the landlady there, a plump, motherly woman, was as nice as could be. "Let's look at the room," she said. "I think you will like it." They walked up a dark carved staircase, like the one in Lucy's dream. In these old houses, the staircases are all the same, Lucy thought. But when the landlady opened the door to the bedroom, it was the room in her dream, with the same carpet that looked like trapdoors, and the same windows fastened with big nails. "This is just a coincidence," Lucy told herself. "How do you like it?" the landlady asked. "I'm not sure," she said. "Well, take your time," the landlady said. "I'll bring up some tea while you think about it." Lucy sat on the bed staring at the trapdoors and the big nails. Soon there was a knock at the door. "It's the landlady with tea," she thought. But it wasn't the landlady. It was the woman with the pale face and the black eyes and the long hair. Lucy Morgan grabbed her things and fled.
So, this one is like really scary because, like, in the movie, they do something really different, and they use the drawing.
Oh yeah, show the drawing.
Yeah, I'll show the drawing. They use this drawing to like make an entirely different story about somebody trapped in a red hallway. And I think that the story about the boy being trapped in the red hallway is a lot scarier than this book.
But I do like that story, and I like the picture. I think it's my favorite part.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to
hear the second to last part of Melody's story.
Let's go.
Melody stared down into the pit. The darkness consumed her thoughts. Suddenly, a crash came from behind her. Melody spun around and saw a man running out the front door. She chased after him up until the entryway. She continued watching him until he disappeared behind a tree. After watching the man disappear behind the tree, Melody decided to go upstairs and investigate the tripwire. There, sitting on the tripwire, was a note. "Don't try me." As Melody looked at the wire, she got another idea: to trap the man and end the torment for good.
What? I'm excited to see how this ends. I think it's going to be really good. And if it's not, it's all his fault. But it will be good.
Yeah. Okay, your last story.
My last story is not in a book. I have it written on here. This is my favorite scary story because in my mind, it doesn't go where you think it's going. My next story is called The Lake. As Mary tucked herself into bed, she felt her dog, Rufus, lie down next to her. This was her nightly routine. Every night she would fall asleep to the feeling of Rufus licking her hand as she drifted off into her dreams. This happened every night like clockwork. One night, as Mary tucked herself into bed, she noticed her dog was missing. She started to go look for him around the apartment. After a few minutes of searching, she couldn't find him, so she decided she would go to bed. He would come around eventually, she thought to herself. As Mary drifted off to sleep, she felt something was wrong, but she just brushed it off. She woke up around midnight to the feeling of licking on her hand. She ignored it and just assumed that it was Rufus as she drifted back to sleep. A couple hours later, she woke up to the feeling of dripping onto her head. She thought this was odd, but thought there was just a leak because it was raining outside. But the dripping became more frequent. Drip, drip, drip onto her head. As she turned around, she finally saw what it was. It was her dog Rufus, cut open and hanging from the ceiling. Written in his blood on the wall were the words, "Humans can lick too." The end.
So, she was licked on the hand by a human?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ew, ew. Did she come out of this story alive? I must know. Or does that...
That's just how it ends.
Okay, cool. I don't like that ending.
That's why it's so good, though, because you're like, ugh.
Because then you're like, ooh, that ending's fancy. So, I am going to finish off Melody's story, and then we're going to end out this episode, and... You know, I'm glad that you guys came along with us.
I'm
if
glad.
you survived the whole episode.
If you're still here,
say
that
Bo.
Jasper is cooler than Bo.
And if you do that, we will we'll follow you back on Instagram. But you have to put that comment on the Spotify, and then
or
we'll
on
find
YouTube.
or on the UbTubs. But Spotify first, since Spotify will come out a week before the UbTubs.
Cheers. Let's finish off Melody's story.
Okay. Melody went to bed promptly at 8 p.m. Her trap was set and ready. At 3:16 a.m., just as the night before, the tapping started. Melanie got out of bed and opened her door. Everything appeared as it was the night before, including the tapping. Melody quickly ran down the hall and down the stairs, and there in her trap was a man in all black with a ski mask covering his face. Melody pulled the mask off through the ropes, and there, stuck in her trap, was the owner of the house.
What?
The owner instantly burst into tears. Melody stared at him concerningly, and he started explaining. "I'm sorry, Melody. I've been doing this since I bought the house. It looked so scary, and I wanted a way to become famous. It seems like all the people are finding haunted places these days, and I just wanted to force it." He stopped and just sat in his tears. A knock came from the front door, and Melody opened it and let the sheriff in. Her bag sat by the door, and she quickly grabbed it and walked out to her car. She drove away, and as she looked in the rearview mirror with the police lights flashing back, all she thought was, what a strange weekend, knowing all too well that this wouldn't be her last paranormal experience, but she would most definitely never return.
Well, thank you for joining us for our final bonus episode of our horror mini-series.
We had so much fun scaring you and being scared for you.
And with you. But that mostly applies to Bo.
Yeah, mostly me.
We will not be having our regularly scheduled episode this Sunday, as this episode is replacing it.
Yep. Instead, you can join us in 2 weeks to discuss a topic that's pretty hot with me, especially because everybody disagrees with me. But we are going to debate over the correct time to start listening to Christmas music.
Which, just so we all know, isn't November 1st at midnight with Mariah Carey.
No, You can start at midnight, November 1st, with an alarm set with Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. You can tell I have this by now.
And as we know, Bo is wrong in this and most definitely needs a therapist.
It's not that wrong. It's just the more joyful path in life. Anyways, we can't wait to have you.